Welcome back. This week, Conservation Minister Nick Smith declined permission for a multi-million-dollar bus tunnel in the Fiordland National Park. He's yet to make a call on a proposed monorail. That would stretch across 41 kilometres of conservation estate. The decision highlights, really, the tension between those who say our tourism depends on being clean, green and pure, and those who believe tourists want these kinds of attractions. Mr Sneddon is the Chief Executive of the Tourism Industry Association. He joins me now. Good morning, Mr Sneddon. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Morning, Rachel.
Did Nick Smith make the right decision in declining that Milford dart tunnel?
Yeah, I think he did. I've had a good look through the stuff that was released and he did a thorough investigation. I admire him, the fact he took on the responsibility himself for making the decision. It looked to be a pretty thorough decision, the way it was explained. Clearly, in the end, he just decided that the environmental impact was too great. But I think the other factor that he took into account, and I'm pleased he did, is that he looked at the economics of it and came to a view that there was a real risk around that. So it was a balancing exercise, and I think he got it right.
He's still to make a decision on the monorail. The economics may stack up on that. Yet a New Zealand Herald editorial this week said that he should say no to that as well. What do you think?
Yeah, well, he's got to treat that one as its own application. He can't necessarily just automatically decide that decision as he has the tunnel decision. So I think he's now shown that he does look at these things thoroughly. I don't know. Just instinctively, it feels like the monorail one's got a better chance of succeeding than the tunnel one had. But where the balance lies, I'm not sure.
Possibly because it's, less invasive than what the tunnel would have been.
Yeah, I think that's sort of it.
The monorail would go through, in part, a World Heritage Area. Should we be looking perhaps to try and develop technology so these things can be created or built, these transport systems, sympathetically in a conservation region?
Yeah, I think we should be heading down that track, and I think that's why the monorail idea possibly has a little bit more attraction than the tunnel idea. But in the end, there's a whole lot of factors that come into this, and our environment is extremely important to us, not just from a tourism point of view, but that's who we are in New Zealand. So, we don't want to unduly interfere with the nature of that. But on the other hand, tourism is a big part of our economy, and it is part of those sort of attractions like Milford are big internationally. So we do need to find ways of ensuring that visitors have reasonably easy access to it. I mean, that's the problem as we go forward, is that everyone's getting more time precious, and that, I think, is one of the problems that Milford faces at the moment, is the length of time it takes to actually access what's there is becoming too great for some visitors.
Indeed. Do tourists too expect, in the year 2013, are they expecting more for their buck? Do they want sophisticated forms of travel and sophisticated facilities as well?
Well, I think it comes down to time. They want to be able to move around easily and quickly and with certainty, and that is a challenge for us because New Zealand's a small country, very isolated, so we don't necessarily have the market power to be able to install really sophisticated transport systems that exist in some of the more heavily populated places around Europe, for instance. So that is a bit of a challenge. But on the other hand, we have this enormous point of distinction, which is that we have a freshness and a cleanness about New Zealand, which is well ahead of lots and lots of other countries. So we don't want to interfere with that.
But at the same time, is 100% pure really enough? We have beautiful fjords and lakes and the Southern Alps and the Bay of Islands and a number of attractions. But is it enough really to offer viewpoints to these places and that's it? You drive a long way into Milford and, you take a very nice photo. Is it enough being just 100% pure? Do we need to offer more?
Well, it's a fantastic trip into Milford itself through the Te Anau route, so that in itself is an amazing attraction. But I think New Zealand's tourism offering is far more than just the environmental attractions. It's quite a comprehensive package, but that is one of our standout points of distinction, and as I say, we want to preserve that as well as we reasonably can.
How has the nature of our tourism industry changed? Because I suspect at one stage it was really targeting, the adventure tourists, the bungee jumpers, if you like, the whitewater rafters. Who are we targeting now? Because our numbers certainly have spiked hugely out of China, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. But if you look at the last 5 years, for instance, of what's been happening, it's been a period of pretty stagnant growth, really, and it's only China, in terms of numbers, that has kept the numbers growing hard. Our traditional markets are struggling. So we're in the middle of the moment of working with the tourism industry to determine what the way forward. I think you know, there are agencies like Tourism New Zealand who do a great job, Air New Zealand, a lot of other players in the tourism industry that in the short term are doing a good job. What we're now doing as an industry is stepping back and looking at it from a long-term point of view and are saying, okay, what's it going to look like in 10 years' time? And there has been a change and there will continue to be a change. The reality now is that whilst we love the visitors that come from the traditional European and UK markets, most of our future for tourism probably exists from around the Pacific Rim, and we've got to find ways of not only increasing the numbers that are coming from the markets, but also increasing the value that we derive from them and providing those visitors with an outstanding visitor experience.
So how are you going to do that? What's the plan for New Zealand tourism?
Well, on the 1st of October, TIA will be launching a growth framework, which is looking forward, as I say, quite a long way. We've targeted 2025 as the horizon point, and it will identify within that framework the areas that we think are the best places to be looking. And the starting point for us has been air connectivity. The reality is we have 2.6 million visitors who come into New Zealand, and just about all of them turn up on an aeroplane. So we have to make sure that our air links that exist around the world and specifically within the Pacific Rim really work well, and that's tough. Airline economics is fragile. Air New Zealand do a good job, but they only bring about 1/3 of those international visitors. So we need Jetstar, we need Qantas, we need China Southern, we need Singapore Airlines, we need all of those airlines to be working, because whilst Air New Zealand is owned in New Zealand and has an emotional connection, the other airlines don't. So we need to understand that it has to work economically for them. And it's not just about the passengers doing that, it's about our industry on the ground backing those air links and making sure that they do work. We've got to lift the level of our visitor experience from across the whole spectrum, from the moment someone becomes interested in coming to New Zealand till the moment they go home. We need them to go home really happy and word of mouth advocates for New Zealand. So that's a challenge. We need to lift our productivity in the tourism region. That's a really important thing, and seasonality is going to be, you know, tourism has this real issue where it has a very short peak season. We've got to be doing lots to extend the nature of that season to lift the productivity of the industry.
Mr Sneddon, Chief Executive of the Tourism Industry Association, thank you.